Hello and welcome back to another episode here on Triad All Stars, a special series we are just starting. This is episode 1 of former Glenn High School athletes and coaches joining me. My name is Ryan Smith, and my guest today is the girls softball coach at Glenn High School. She's in her 20th year and 6th as the head coach, 14 of those as the pitching coach. She is Coach Amber Foster. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's so good to have you on. First of this series. Let's make it a good one. So let's just start with kind of your background growing up. So I'll give the listeners a little bit of a background of who you are, and then I'll just kind of ask the question. So you are a graduate of Glenn High School, as I introduced, class of 1998, played varsity softball, basketball, volleyball, and softball. You were all conference throughout the last 4 years there. Conference Player of the Year twice, Co-Player of the Year in the 10th grade, All-State, All-Region, All-American. I can keep going. We'll let you go into more after high school, but we'll start there for now. And so tell me about your background growing up and how sports came about.
I'm an only child, and I guess I was the son that my dad never had, and fishing never took. So I guess it was up to him to get sports going for me. And softball just seemed the thing that I fell in love with, and I started playing out of Walkertown. I grew up over near in between East and Carver, and played Walkertown Dixie softball. And I think I started there when I was about 5. And just kind of fell in love with it. And it was one of those things that me and Dad could do out in the backyard, lots of throwing, lots of time spent at the field, lots of time. And, it's just one of those things that, I don't know, it was second nature, and I fell in love with it. So that was the one sport that I pursued. And then middle school, they started introducing sports again. And that's where I kind of started playing basketball, and I really enjoyed it. I was never going to outrun anybody or out jump anybody, but I could shoot fairly well, and got to play through high school under Coach Marty Stanley. Yep. And that was a lot of fun. And volleyball was one of those things where I kind of got talked into it by a teacher I'd never played before. Sure. And it was one of the most fun things I had ever done. I looked at basketball as enjoyable, but it was really there to get me in shape. And, a lot of my friends played it, but volleyball was one of those sports where there wasn't, a whole lot of pressure to perform at the top level like softball was. And it was just fun. It was just a lot of fun. And then, of course, those two led up to softball, and, played softball through high school, played travel ball every summer. And, it's just who I am, I guess. It's second nature to me now.
Yeah. And so next is we're going to get into the coaching aspect. So after high school, you attended and graduated from Winston-Salem State University, full athletic scholarship for softball. You were a pitcher. Your degree is in secondary special education. You also are a mom as well, Glenn high schooler as well. He is an 11th grader on the varsity football team and varsity baseball as well. So you've got a lot on your plate, but specifically talk about how you got into coaching. Specifically, you coached under, you mentioned Robert Fulton, Adeline Payne, Gary Payne, and then hired as the head coach at Glenn. But just kind of walk us through how you got into coaching and got that bug.
It's one of those things, when I graduated high school and went to college, I was 18. I was a very young senior. I graduated at 17 and went to college at 18. And, after my freshman year of college, my mom wound up getting sick with cancer and passing away. And, like I said earlier, I'm an only child and everything. And it was very, very tough. And I didn't think that, my focus would have been at school at that time. So I wound up taking about a year off and just kind of stayed local. And the opportunity to go back and help out at Glenn was presented to me. So I kind of jumped on it because I knew I wanted softball to remain a part of my life. And I became a teacher, not to coach, obviously, but it was definitely a perk. And it was one of the reasons why I really focused on teaching high school so that I could go back and be a coach. And it was just one of those things that I loved it so much. And I just felt like I had a lot of knowledge that I could give. And, I think I coached for about a year and a half, and then got back into school, got my head kind of back on right emotionally, and I was able to finish out playing softball and everything. So it was great. And then once I graduated, I came right back to it. So it was good.
And briefly, what are just a kind of a highlight of this upcoming 2023 year? What are we looking for in Glen softball? How's the team looking this year? And just give us a brief kind of, if you can, best you can tell, detailed look at the roster this year.
We're always battling with every other school in the county, with the school right across town, to get the best kids. Now, please don't get me wrong. I love having a lot of talent to work with, but at the end of the day, if I have great young women who are willing to buy into the program and understand what it means to play for Glen, then at the end of the day, I've already won. So I've got amazing young ladies. We graduated 6 seniors last year. So we took a hit. Obviously, we lost our all conference, all district, all region, all state pitcher, Erica Kleiner, really going to miss her in the circle. But we've got some really good young talent coming in. I've got a couple of seniors this year who are able to go back to their natural positions because of the young talent that's coming in. The girls at Glen are just so gracious when it comes to, hey, I need you playing this position. I know you're a third baseman, but I need you to catch. Or, I know you're an outfielder, but I need you to play shortstop. So, and
the girls, you can say whatever you'd like as far as shout out some of those players you could like.
So I'm really excited. I'm really excited this season. So last season I didn't have my shortstop, Sydney Parsons, because she had a torn ACL. She was a phenomenal bucket coach, and that's what we call her because she was right there next to me all season, sitting on her bucket. She is going to make, I think she's going to make a pretty outstanding coach one of these days. But I'm so thankful to have her back at shortstop, and my other senior leaders, Riley Joyce, who bless her heart, she had to catch for me for 3 years. She gets to go back to third now, which I know she is incredibly excited about. And then Mary Marini, who's holding it down in the outfield for me. And we actually got a new transfer in this year from out of state. It's a young lady from Tennessee, Cyndia. She offers us a lot of pop at the plate, and she's going to be a great position player for us as well. So I'm actually pretty optimistic. I've got a lot of youth in some very important positions. Pitcher and catcher are both freshmen. So trying to get them to buy into the difference between travel ball and high school ball is something that they're just going to have to experience.
Right.
And, just developing these young ladies to be mentally tough, compassionate, caring, competitive athletes is the biggest thing we're trying to do right now.
Yeah. And we'll get to that in a second, travel and high school ball, as you mentioned. What would you say your squad, how would they describe you? Like, what is your coaching style specifically, if you had to detail that?
I laugh because you asked that question because I guess I'm very old school. I don't really know. I never ever disrespect or cuss my girls. Please don't think that. But I hold them to a standard. And at the end of the day, it's all about teaching them how to be the greatest, most competitive athlete they can be, but in the same breath, being the best teammate that they can be. Right. Because a lot of girls, don't have that mental toughness. And so when if they play poorly or if they make a mistake or something like that happens, they tend to get, for lack of a better word, they tend to get their butt on their shoulders and they can't get over it. Yeah. And so I'm teaching them, we teach them to be great teammates, great, pick up your teammates, but allow yourself to be picked up. So I'm very tough. I expect my girls to give 110% every single day. I have rules for them that I don't think other coaches do. I don't allow my girls to use any profanity whatsoever. I don't allow my girls to talk poorly about anybody on the team or anybody on the other team. I have the same expectations for the parents as well. And a lot of the girls, who have never played for me would see me as kind of strict. But there's a standard at playing.
The standard is the standard.
Yeah, the standard's the standard. We're going to quote Mike Tomlin. I'm a huge Steelers fan, but the standard, the standard's the standard. And, playing for Glen means something. And I don't care, we're always going to compete. I don't care where we finish in the conference. We're always going to compete, and you're always going to get the best version of us. And I just think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. So this has been Amber Foster here on All Stars, coach of Glenn softball. A couple more questions to wrap this up, Coach. You talk about being in the area. You work with pitchers all over the area, private lessons, whether that's girls from high schools, collegiate, brand new pitchers. So two-part question. What is the most enjoyable part about that? And then very briefly, what is the difference in your eyes between that travel and high school ball specifically that you were talking about earlier?
Watching a girl succeed. I think that's the biggest thing. I've started with girls who, couldn't walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. And now, they've signed their national letters of intent and they are pitching at the collegiate level, or they're pitching at a very high school level, and just seeing them succeed because, I tell girls, you've got to be crazy to want to pitch. You just do, because you have to work harder, longer. Everybody else, you're the center of attention 100% of the game. So you have to be a little bit nuts to want to do it. But just to see them succeed,
sure.
I think that's the biggest thing that I love. Like I said, the Lord gave me all this knowledge. I wasn't the best at anything that I did, but he gave me a lot. And apparently I have the patience to teach it. So, I guess that's the biggest thing. And then the difference between high school and travel, I have so many girls coming in. They're like, Coach, what's the difference? I said, I can't tell you. You have to experience it. And right. Travel ball is intense. Please don't get me wrong. It's incredibly intense. You play some of the greatest talent across the nation. But in the same breath, if you don't play well this game, there's another game. And if you don't play well that game, there's another game. Right. And if your daddy doesn't like that coach, or you're not getting the playing time that they think you should get, well, I paid my money. I get to play just like everybody else does. Whereas in high school, the intensity, you can't compare the two. Intensity for high school sports is just, it's through the roof. You've got one opportunity to be great, to beat this team, and then everything counts. Every at bat counts, every pitch counts, every stolen base counts, every win, every loss. So high school sports, a lot of people look at them as recreational, when in fact they are probably more intense than any travel ball sport you'll ever play.
Awesome. Well, we'll get you out of here on this, Coach. Where can our listeners find you on social media? Where can they connect with you and follow Glenn softball and yourself throughout this upcoming 2023?
Yeah, definitely. Glenn softball. We have a Twitter page. So just hop on and look at, it's GHS softball OFCL, kind of like official. So GH softball OFCL. And we'll update the, schedules and rosters, and we'll segment players sometimes, because we have a lot of multi-sport athletes who play softball, and we celebrate them in every other sport that they can play too. And just, keep up with alumni and all that stuff, because Glenn has a huge network of softball alumni that are doing great things in the community too. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, as I said at the top, my guest today has been Coach Amber Foster, softball coach at Glenn. She's in her 20th season at the school, 14 as the pitching coach, and 6 now as the head coach coming up. This has been part 1, episode 1 of our Triad All-Stars episode featuring former Glenn High School athletes and coaches. Well, Coach, thank you for your time today. Best of luck this upcoming season, and thank you for coming on Triad All-Stars.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much.